Okay, tell me if you've heard this one before. Comedian tells joke, audience laughs, and then half the world outside the Laugh Factory gets a hold of it.
Now to the fierce backlash against Louis C.K. After 9 months out of the spotlight, the disgraced comedian.
Plenty of outrage.
Got to ask you about the controversy. Your joke was offensive.
Trevor Noah under fire.
Then comes the half-hearted apology to save their career.
There were so many protests, he was forced to publicly apologize.
I'm very sorry I bothered you or upset any of you.
But you apologized.
I apologize. I had to do it.
Why do you have to do it?
Because now here comes a sponsor.
Right.
Now all the rest of them have to piggyback and act righteous too. They don't really care.
Right.
It's the deal. We got to act offended.
Tracy Morgan took the mic to apologize for his inflammatory comedy act.
And when the smoke clears, either the comedian is limping away with a so-called scandal under their belt or a completely torpedoed career. But why? This is a relatively new phenomenon. It used to be that comedians were untouchables and could say anything they want. Now you have comedians regularly locking up cell phones and walking on eggshells.
Is your starting point a little bit more sort of tamer these days?
Oh, yeah. It's very calculated and thought out.
Does that hurt your act, though?
Yeah, it's way less funny.
Is that right?
Other than it being not as funny, it's wonderful.
Why this is happening is up for some debate. Some say it's call-out culture, some say the new generation is too sensitive, and those probably all factor in, but I'd argue there's a more complicated problem going on. A problem of language game confusion, enabled and empowered by the internet. The concept of language games was described by the philosopher Wittgenstein. It's the idea that language isn't interpreted only one way. Instead, language interpretation is based on the many different language games we all unconsciously play, which determine the way we interpret meaning. Here are a few language games to think about. You and I play these all the time, fluidly switching between them depending on the context. I mocked up a few of these language games to illustrate my point. If you put any of them in a different context, they make no sense. But within their language game, they're perfectly sensible. Understanding which game someone else is playing is as important as the words they're using. Each game has its own rules, grammar, and meaning, and because of that, misunderstanding their game can lead to confusion. You've had this experience before when you say, no, I was being sarcastic, or I was joking. But now is where we get back to our story, because comedy has its own language game, and these slip-ups, scandals, and faux pas occur when people misunderstand the comedy language game. And I would like to argue that this is because of the way we decontextualize things in the media. Anyone who's been in a comedy club knows the language game is set up to be unmistakable. It's dimly lit, you go to hear comedy, expectations are set, and people are drinking. There's even warm-up acts to get you in the right mood. The whole environment sets you up with a certain expectation. However, today people are filming what goes on in these comedy clubs and posting it on Twitter. And when that happens, things get decontextualized. Suddenly, a joke is no longer landing 2 drinks in. It's no longer couched between 2 other jokes, 2 maybe softer jokes. A joke now sits below a CBS News piece. On social media, you lose these pre-agreed language games. So when Louis C.K. says some stuff about snowflakey kids, the people watching the clip live see a joke. They laugh.
These kids are nuts, but they're not. They're they're just boring. Telling them you shouldn't say that. You're young. You should be crazy. You should be unhinged. Not in a suit saying, I'm here to tell you. You're not interesting. Because you went to a high school where kids got shot? Why does that mean I have to listen to you?
But the internet had a very different reaction. They see an angry old man and read into his act a malicious, unfeeling undertone. But that's because the whole act has been decontextualized to the internet, where it sits alongside political debates and internet trolls. And this can happen anytime you take a joke and put it in a context where the language game isn't clear. John Mulaney recounts how insane his jokes sound when they're read seriously.
Never goes well. They're like, and that's why you shouldn't give to charity. Is that something you find funny, Mr. Mulaney?
The old saying turns out to be true. If you have to explain a joke, it isn't funny anymore. You've dragged it out of the context where it made sense. This sharp disconnect between people who see a comedy bit in its proper context and people who see it online
has become a common complaint among comedians.
Like the amount of times they've shown clips, they'll be like, controversy at the Laugh Factory. And they show the bit and the whole crowd laughed.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you're on a split screen, and you're sitting there talking to a blogger.
Comedians know the risk of misunderstanding, and avoiding this language game misinterpretation has become part of the craft. This is why some people take up cell phones to prevent recording. But this is just a way to avoid the source of the problem.
That the internet makes it easier than ever to misinterpret jokes as if they're serious, which is why we, the public, need to remember this.
The context of the original statement matters.
If the bit was in a comedy club, on stage, your default interpretation should be that they were joking.
No matter what is said or how funny anyone thinks it is, it was a joke. It might have been a bad joke, but it was a joke.
Just because you took what I said seriously doesn't mean I now meant it. Like if I'm saying something and I'm joking, I'm joking.
I just want somebody to just go, it's a joke. I'm not apologizing.
Thanks for watching that video. That was sort of a mini coffee break. I'm in the middle of a big project right now, and I just wanted to get something out to you. Also, if you're looking for more coffee break content, go check out the second channel. I have a hilarious series called Fake Gurus that I'm doing right now. That's been a lot of fun, so go take a look at that. And yeah, just subscribe, share if you want, and I will see you guys soon.